Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 728.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about why are millionaires postponing their big purchases for at least a year. And this was actually a Millionaire Survey that was done by Robert Frank of CNBC.com. And it says, a majority of American millionaires say they plan to spend less this summer than in years past, according to the second quarter CNBC Millionaire Survey, which polls 750 people with investable assets of $1 million or more. And another key point is that real estate, new cars, and vacations are the expenses they are most likely to put on hold, and many won't complete those purchases for at least a year. So before I share that with you, I just want to say, remember that book, The Millionaire Next Door, and how they really chronicled how millionaires really spend their money? It's not on flashy things. In fact, they said that most millionaires drive trucks and wear Japanese watches, and they're not buying the high-ticket, big, expensive things that you might think they are. They're not buying designer clothes. They're not buying $100,000 cars. They're not buying Bentleys and Rolls Royces. So I just want you to sort of frame your thoughts about the context of this while I'm sharing this article with you, because I think it will all fall into place and be more understandable. So the article says, wealthy consumers plan to pull back on their spending despite seeing little impact from the pandemic on their incomes and balance sheets, according to a new survey. A majority of American millionaires say they plan to spend less this summer than in years past, according to the CNBC Millionaire Survey, which polls 750 people with investable assets of $1 million or more. Okay, so I want to pause there. They're pointing out that this is people who have investable assets of $1 million or more. So it's not about the value of their personal residence. It's about investable assets of $1 million or more. So they likely have a net worth somewhere, I would say, 1.5 to 3 million or above. The article goes on to say, real estate, new cars, and vacations are the expenses they are most likely to put on hold, and many won't complete those purchases for at least a year. More than 1 in 4 millionaires plan to postpone a real estate purchase due to the coronavirus, according to the survey. So that's more than 25% aren't going to be buying real estate right now. They're putting off their purchases until later, and that's likely wise because they're probably waiting to see where our price is going to shake out. I'm of the belief that we are going to see prices go lower into 2022. And so this would be the strategy that someone who has the time to wait and the money to buy, and they can just see where the market settles out. So this would make sense that people that have the means and don't necessarily have to move, but are maybe waiting to see what the market does and anticipating that maybe the market will go lower, that they'll just wait it out and maybe pick up some bargains. The article goes on to say fully 15% plan to postpone the purchase of a car, and 10% plan to postpone a vacation. When asked when they plan to complete those purchases, the largest number, 37%, said in 2021 or later. So I want to pause there and say this also makes sense that you would probably get a good car deal this year, but even better next year, because if there's a lot of cars that they can't sell in 2020, then in 2021, it's going to get serious too, because then they have 2 years of cars that they have to sell. But likely at the end of 2020, any cars that they haven't sold, you're probably going to get a really good deal on them then, because they'll want to clear them out before the next year's models come in. The article goes on to say, the wealthy are still feeling cautious, said George Walper, president of Spectrum Group, which conducts the survey with CNBC. They learned from the last crisis that maybe they need more of a cushion than they thought. They just don't want to make a major purchase decision right now. To be sure, millionaires have been fairly insulated from the economic damage of the pandemic. A majority said their assets will be the same or higher at the end of the year, and nearly 3/4 say their incomes will be the same or higher. Yet their consumer caution could be driven in part by their overall view of the U.S. economy. Half believe the recession will last longer than the Great Recession of 2008 and 9. And when considering a major purchase like real estate or a car, some may be waiting for prices to fall even more. They may be opportunistic and saying, why buy now if prices for these big purchases could fall even more, Walper said. End of article. Okay, well, that's pretty much what I thought, was that if you're not in a rush to buy, it's to your benefit to wait and maybe get some lower prices later. It's always good to do anecdotal research. That's something that I have our VIP experience group do all the time. We take surveys, we compare notes, we find out what are people doing and saying and how are they acting. Are they going out and eating in restaurants? Are they buying new cars? Are they buying new houses? Or are they waiting and seeing what's going on? And yes, it seemed like there were numerous real estate deals that were canceled during this pandemic and during the shutdown of the economy. I personally know people that happened to. They were selling a home, had a deal, it was all in contract and in escrow, and they were just waiting for it to close, and the deal fell out of escrow because the people did not feel confident enough to buy this particular property. It would have been a second home for them. And so it was optional for them to own it, and they decided that was not a good time to make a major purchase when they weren't confident what the future would hold for them. So they backed out of the deal. And my friends got their house back. So this is the psychology of what goes on in people's minds. And that's why we're likely to see prices go lower, because people are going to feel less confident. They are going to back out of some deals. But there's other people who are very motivated to buy. They're seeing interest rates very low, and they're going to go ahead and purchase. So it's not going to be a disaster for the real estate market, but I do think we are going to see a pretty similar repeat to what we saw in 2008 and 9. I think that is in our future. So however you weathered that, whether you weathered it well, then keep your strategy that you used during that time. Or if you didn't weather it well, take a look at why you didn't and maybe change what you're doing this time to be different from what you did in 2008 and 9. I think the big message here is that time is on your side. You don't have to rush out and buy anything. You know, there probably are some really good deals in retail right now because stores have to clear out their inventory before they can get in Christmas purchases. But even so, I bet they're going to order very light for Christmas, and there's just going to be very little inventory around. So if there's something that you really need to purchase before the end of this year, you might want to go into retail stores and check it out, because I don't know how restocked they're really going to get before Christmas. No one's going to want to be ordering massive inventory for Christmas this year. I just think everyone's going to be playing it safe, ordering very little, and that means that we're going to have this inventory that's in the stores right now being cleared out for the next several months, and then we're going to have new inventory come in a very, very light way. So plan your purchases accordingly and check and see. There are some good deals out there. There are some bargains. Depending on what it is that you're looking to buy, you can probably find some incredible bargains. But for those big ticket items, it's to your advantage to wait and see and probably witness that prices are going to come lower for those things. I'll put a link to this article in my show notes. And if you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available 3 times a week. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.